When you're going through a difficult situation or starting a new habit, like I'm trying to manage these couple of different platforms right now, what is your immediate response? Do you like force your way through it? Do you procrastinate? Do you give up? Do you take a nap? Do you watch Netflix? So we have our own default ways of dealing with difficult situations, right? Whether it's starting a new habit, a new project, something that's unfamiliar. And instead of looking at it as difficult, what if we saw that situation as just different? So let me explain this with an example. When I started running, and as many of you know by now, if you've read my book, Return to Mindfulness, I have examples where I resist running, I resist exercising. That's another story for another time. But the point being that when I started running, I remember running up my driveway and I'm like, oh, this is so hard. And I could either force my way or I could give up. I'm like, okay, this is too hard. I'm not going to do it. Or I can force my way. And then the days when I don't have willpower to keep forcing and pushing, I may end up giving up again. So instead, the invitation with mindfulness is that we return with curiosity. So when I notice myself saying, this is so hard, the invitation with kindness is to explore what does hard feel like in the body. So I'm like, okay, what does it feel like to have this experience of this is hard? And I noticed my heart was really beating fast. So I'm like, oh, my heart is really beating fast, or I'm getting a little out of breath. And so, okay, you can investigate that with kindness. The heart beating fast is not a bad thing in itself, right? Is that difficult? The heart is doing its work. It's just beating faster to help pump blood to my limbs so I can run. And so that's not a bad thing necessarily. So, what else is feeling hard? Then it's more realizing that it is my resistance because it's something new, taking on a new habit. It could be a new project, a new research project, or rewriting that research project for the fifth time that can feel hard. And instead, when we bring curiosity and we explore our immediate direct experience of what is hard, we may notice that it's our brain that is resisting something that's new and unfamiliar. And so we can turn that around by just that right understanding. This is just something different, not difficult. And the way to do that, because as you know by now, mindfulness is not an intellectual activity, it requires us to actually turn our attention to the present moment experience and see for ourselves. So let's take a moment to do this. Think of something that you're working on right now. It could be a research paper, it could be something you're working in your workplace, in your family, something that's different, a new habit that you're starting out. So bring to mind a very specific situation before we begin that feels uncertain, difficult, challenging, uncomfortable. And once you have something, so I'll share, like I have to create these recordings for my program, and I have a little bit like, oh, I got to do that, I got to do that. So I'm going to keep that as my example and invite you to have a specific example in mind that we're going to work through with this mantra for today. It's different, not difficult. So let's see for ourselves, see for yourself. So directing your attention inward, you can do that by lowering or closing your eyes. And for a few moments, we're going to just return to this breath moving in your body naturally. Just for this one moment, 1 minute, letting go of any rushing, any pushing or pulling of any kind. And give yourself the gift of this breath and your full awareness of this breath moving in and out of your body. And if you feel that your mind is really active today, you can even place your hand on your chest, feeling the warmth of your hand. And when you feel that your attention is stabilized in this present moment, then inviting that situation, that new habit, the challenging task that you have to do next. And even as you think about that situation very clearly, this new habit, this new paper, research, this new conversation, seeing it very clearly in your mind. And even as you think about it, noticing what's happening in your body. Is there some kind of a tightness or resistance? Maybe in the chest, in your abdomen. And seeing if you can use your breath to create more space in your body. And as you exhale, softening that resistance in your body, and now looking into your thoughts underlying that resistance or discomfort. So just paying attention to your thoughts with kindness that are related to this project. So opening your mind to whatever thoughts, your inner dialogue. And even as you think about what's going on in your mind, like, oh, I have to do all these things, this is really hard. Just again, creating that spaciousness and seeing what is really hard about this. Is it just your brain resisting doing something that's different? Or is there a real challenge? Do you not have the resources to deal with this situation? So separating out that issue, is it a lack of resources to deal with this challenge, or is it just your brain resisting because it requires you to pay attention, it requires you to focus, it requires you to get outside of your comfort zone? So having that discernment, what is going on? And throughout this process, as you're bringing curiosity to your inner experience, to your thoughts, to your judgments, to your emotions, using your breath to create that spaciousness. And once you have more clarity, whether this is a situation where you're feeling stuck because maybe you don't have full information, you don't have full clarity, and if that's the case, what is one step you can take to get more clarity? Do you need to speak with someone? Do you need to just reflect on it? Do you need more research on it? And if it is just a question of you resisting doing something that's a little different, that's a little uncomfortable, then just seeing like it's not difficult, it's just different. And see if that works for you. For me, that really, that reminder works that, okay, right now I'm resisting doing these recordings, but it's really not that difficult. It just requires me to sit down and focus and do something that. And one other thing that can help us get through this, instead of like, I must, I should, I have to, is reconnect with your intention for why you're doing this project or this work. For me, the recordings is something I love doing. And so when I reconnect with what I love about this project, it really motivates me. Like, oh, you know what? I think I can do this. So I hope you had some insights. And if you have any questions, I'm still here for a few minutes. So please share your questions in the comments below, or as you watch this recording, maybe later on, and do this practice on your own. You can pause it. Maybe you need a little more time to do it. You can always send me your questions in the comments. So hope this was helpful, and may you continue to practice and play with this reminder for today. It's different, not difficult. And I'll see you all tomorrow.